Good day, Grade 12 students. How are you? We hope everyone is doing fine and so glad to see you again in this explanation video. If you keep yourself updated with current entertainment news, you see that one of the Disney classic stories, Mulan, has been remade into live-action movies. Mulan is one of the examples of narrative, just like Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, and the others. Therefore, our main material for today will be about narrative text. Let's start. Just like the other text types that we have learned this far, there are 4 things that we are going to discuss today. Purpose of the text, structure, language feature, and last but not least, the example of narrative text. First of all, let's start with the purpose of the text. Whenever we read short stories, fables, or maybe fairy tales, we always feel enthusiastic and happy. And that's why it's very simple and easy to memorize the aim or purpose of narrative text, which is to entertain or amuse the readers. How about with the structure of narrative text? Narrative text is started with orientation, where you will first be introduced to the story, characters, and settings. And then the story will go on, and this development of the plot is what we call as complication. Complication will then arise and reach the climax or the main problem before finally be resolved in resolution. Sometimes the writer will also write down the moral value of the story, and that's what we are going to call with coda. This part of the story is optional. In writing narrative text, we are going to use past tense, along with specific noun, adjectives to describe the characters or settings, time connectors and adverbs, and lastly, dialogue to make the story much more alive. The story that I'm going to read and explain today is entitled The Shepherd Boy and the Wolf. A shepherd boy tended his master's sheep near a dark forest not far from the village. Soon he found life in the pasture very dull. All he could do to amuse himself was to talk to his dog or play on his shepherd's harp. The first paragraph is what we know as orientation, because it gives an introduction about the story, the setting, in this case a pasture and also a village, and also the protagonist or the main character, which is a shepherd boy. Now let's go on to the next paragraph. One day, as he sat watching the sheep and the quiet forest, and thinking what he would do should he see a wolf, he thought of a plan to amuse himself. His master had told him to call for help should a wolf attack the flock, and the villagers would drive it away. So now, though he had not seen anything that even looked like a wolf, he ran toward the village, shouting at the top of his voice, "Wolf! Wolf!" As he expected, the villagers who heard the cry dropped their work and ran in with excitement to the pasture. But when they got there, they found the boy doubled up with laughter at a trick he had played on them. A few days later, the shepherd boy again shouted, "Wolf! Wolf!" Again, the villagers ran to help him, only to be laughed at again. The second until the 5th paragraph is what we know as complication, because this is where the story develops, starting from when the shepherd boy felt bored, and then he started to shout at the villagers about a wolf that's coming to attack the flock, while he is actually lying. Now let's go on to the next paragraph. Then one evening, as the sun was setting behind the forest, and the shadows were creeping out over the pasture, a wolf really did spring from the underbrush and fall upon the sheep. Now this is what we call as climax, because the main problem has risen. In this story, the climax is where the wolf really comes and attacks the sheep flock. In terror, the boy ran toward the village shouting, "Wolf! Wolf!" But though the villagers heard the cry, they did not want to help him as they had before. "He cannot fool us again," they said. The wolf killed a great many of the boy's sheep and then slipped away into the forest. This is the resolution part. This is not the happy ending, or the resolution is not as good as we usually think. The villagers did not come to help the boy, and the wolf really attacked the flock. Liars are not believed even when they speak the truth. This is the coda, or the moral value of the story. Remember that coda is optional. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. In this story, the writer, however, write down the coda. So that is the end of the narrative text explanation video. We do really hope that this video will help you to understand the material more. See you in the next explanation video. Stay safe and healthy, and God bless you!